Hello and welcome to my review of the Aeldari Warlocks for Warhammer 40,000 from Games Workshop. Now, a pair of these two Warlocks will cost you an eye-watering £32.50. I can see kind of why they did it. To have one Warlock in a box would have been, well, a bit of a waste, and I guess they want to have them in a box. Otherwise they could have just made a Warlock in a blister pack, but they wanted to put two in there, and normally you're going to take a few Warlocks in your Eldar army. Now, this box set consists of 26 plastic components. You do have a number of options for these. You can go for helmeted or helmetless, and you can swap the spear for this Warlock with the sword for that one, as well as obviously changing the heads and moving the heads as well, so you can have this head facing the way of the sword but with the pistol. So all the weapons and arms are interchangeable between both of them, and so are the heads. Comes on one sprue, which I think is quite a nice feat for them to do. One sprue, you've got your two Warlocks with your options. As the format of this review goes, I'll have a look at these Warlocks up close, look at the detail, we'll go through those spare parts, then some size comparisons with some Eldar models, including the Autarch and the Avatar, and then I will go through just the rules for a Warlock in your Eldari army. So this is one of the Warlocks. I've gone for the Warlock with the fingers outstretched, about to cast some kind of psychic power. They are joined there along the cloak, which is a bit annoying, and you might need some Tamiya or file that down. I think I filed that one down, so I'm quite happy. But I've gone for the helmeted versions rather than the helmetless, but that Warlock's quite nice. And then I've gone for this one with a singing spear, I think it is. So Witchblade and singing spear, I think they are, with a shuriken pistol. That one looks alright. I do prefer the other Warlock, but yeah, so that's both of them. These are the two spare parts you'll get, just the two different helmetless head options. You don't get any more swords or spears or pistols, which is, yeah, a bit of a shame. So what that means is you can have the spear with this Warlock with the hand, or you can have the sword with this one with either the hand or the pistol, or move the pistol that way. It's up to you. You can swap them all about. So if you did buy another set of them, at least you could have four that looked, well, kind of different, except for their cloaks and their legs. The heads and the weapons themselves, and where you pose them that way would look a bit different. So that's quite good if you wanted to buy multiples. And also you could use these helmetless heads too. So that's those. Size comparisons then. We'll kick off the show with the Autarch, because you're probably going to be using the Autarch with them, or maybe one of the new Farseers or something like that. But if we look at how tall they are compared, I mean, this Autarch is on somewhat of a scenic tactical rock, but she is still a bit taller, even though they all are on some kind of rock or something to make them a bit taller with the current range. But she's still going to power over them. If you had an Autarch and you're thinking about getting these Farseers, you might be using them with normal Guardians though. That's how I would run Warlocks, to support them with their psychic powers, and they are going to stand a fair bit taller and have a bit more bulk to them. They're on the bigger bases too, for the new Guardians. Rangers are a little bit taller, but even the Warlocks are that step up. So I like how with this Eldar range you've got a bit of a sort of size hierarchy. You've got the Eldar Guardians and some of the Aspect Warriors, which are similar height. Then you've got the Rangers, then you've got the Warlocks, which are a bit taller in this case, and then the Autarchs, and then you've got, yes, the Avatar, which towers above, all of those things. So that's where the Warlocks stand next to the Avatar. The final size comparison I like to make is just with the Space Marines and Sly Marbo. So here is a normal Space Marine. I remember a time when Warlocks were similar height to Space Marines. Now they are a fair bit taller than the standard ones. Comparing them to the Primaris though, very interesting, they are taller than the Primaris. Well, with the Tactical Rock. If we move them up, Primaris are a little bit taller. Not with the top knot withstanding, of course. It's hard to say because this one's, you know, on the Tactical Rock and a bit on a slant, whereas this one's probably a better size comparison. We just have a look there. Yeah, Primaris is just a little bit taller head-wise, but the Warlock seems to be taller because of the headdress and things. But you know, if you're going up against Primaris, I think they're, you know, nicely sized against them. The Sly Marbo is a fair bit shorter, probably barely up to the chest of these Eldar. And now for the final part of my review, where I will go through all of the rules for these Aeldari Warlocks. You'll find them in your 9th edition Aeldari Codex, and they do fall under the Elite section, which I guess you could, which is a little bit odd because obviously like lieutenants and things in Primaris are, you know, in HQ still. I guess these Warlocks can't really, you know, command many units, but they're definitely a nice battlefield support role. The thing is though with Eldar is there's a hefty number of elite choices now. Everything from Wraith Lords to Wraith Guard to the Aspect Warriors themselves to Warlocks, Corsair Void Guard and the Warlock Skyrunners. You know, why don't you just put these Warlocks on a jet bike? The Warlocks themselves then, you can have between 1 and 6, which is nice. One of them is a power points cost of a 2 and a points cost of 20 points per model. It specifically says if this unit contains 1 model, it costs 40 points per model instead. It's a bit cheeky because getting a Warlock for 20 points is quite nice. The Singing Spear will cost you an extra 5 points. So what do you get for these, I'll say 20 points or 20 points after that? Well, you get a stat line of a movement of 7 inches, weapon skill and ballistic skill both 3+, strength and toughness are both 3, 2 wounds, 2 attacks, leadership 8 and a save of 6+. If this unit contains 2 to 3 models, it has a power rating of 3. If the unit contains 4 to 5 models, it has a power rating of 5. If this unit contains 6 models, it has a power rating of 7. Every model is equipped with Shuriken Pistol Witchblade, and the Shuriken Pistol works as usual. It's a range of 12 inch, pistol 1, strength 4, AP -1, damage 1 Shuriken. The Singing Spear has 2 profiles. You've got a ranged attack, which is 12 inches, assault 1, strength 9, AP 0, damage 3. That's quite nice. And the melee profile is the strength of the user, which unfortunately is only 3, the AP is 0 and the damage is 3, and each time an attack is made with this weapon, an unmodified wound roll of 2+ is always successful. So that kind of counteracts its strength. The Witchblade is an option. It's strength of the user, which is 3 unfortunately, AP -1 though, and damage is 2. Each time an attack is made with this weapon, unmodified wound roll of 2+ is always successful. Again, that kind of negates it not having a strength. War gear options, any number of models can each have their Witchblade replaced with 1 Singing Spear. Abilities, Battle Focus, Strands of Fate, Rune Armour. Models in this unit have a 4+ invulnerable save. That's quite nice. I mean, their save normally is 6+, and they only have 2 wounds and toughness of 3, so they're going to be quite squishy, but 4+ just adds to that survivability. Their other ability is Warlock Conclave. If this unit has a starting strength of 1, it gains character keyword. So if you've only got one of them, they just count as a character. Seer Council, if your army is battle forged, for each Farseer model a detachment in your army includes, 1 Warlocks can be included in that detachment without taking up a battlefield role slot. So that's quite nice. You know, you get a Farseer, one of those Warlocks can be included in that detachment. It's quite nice. Psyker. This unit can attempt to manifest 1 psychic power in your psychic phase and attempt to deny 1 psychic power in your opponent's psychic phase. It knows Smite and 1 psychic power from the Runes of Battle Discipline, which we will be going through in a moment. If this unit has a starting strength of 4 or more, it knows 1 additional psychic power from the Runes of Battle Discipline. Whilst this unit contains 4 or more models, it can attempt to manifest 1 additional psychic power in your psychic phase. So kind of like there's a buff there of psychic power if you've got 4 or more of them. Keywords, Aeldari, Asuryani, Infantry, Psyker and Warlocks. So these Runes of Battle Discipline then. We will go through these psychic powers in the Psychic Discipline section because I haven't really touched upon the psychic powers that much in these Aeldari reviews. So Runes of Battle, you can pick all of these or you can just roll a dice. Number 1 is Conceal or Reveal. has a warp charge value of 6. If manifested, has one of the following effects. Conceal is a blessing. One friendly Aeldari unit within 18 inches of the Psyker. Until the end of the next psychic phase, that unit receives the benefits of light cover. Or Reveal, which is a malediction. One enemy unit within 18 inches of the Psyker. Until the start of the next psychic phase, each time an Aeldari model from your army makes an attack, that enemy unit does not receive the benefits of cover against that attack. Embolden Horrify. Number 2, Embolden Horrify. It's a warp charge value of 7. If manifested, you select one of the following effects. Embolden, which is a blessing. One Aeldari core Aeldari character unit within 18 inches of the Psyker. Until the start of the next psychic phase, you add 2 to that unit's leadership characteristic, and at the start of the fight phase, if that unit is within engagement range of any enemy units, it can fight first that phase. Or Horrify, which is a malediction. Select one enemy unit within 18 inches of this Psyker. Until the start of your next psychic phase, you subtract 2 from the leadership characteristic of that unit. At the start of the fight phase, if that unit is within engagement range of any units from your army, that unit is not eligible to fight this phase until after all eligible units from your army have done so. Number 3, Enhance or Drain. Has a warp charge value of 6, and if manifested, has one of the following effects. Enhance, which is a blessing. One friendly Aeldari core unit within 18 inches of the Psyker. Until the start of the next psychic phase, each time a model in that unit makes a melee attack, you add 1 to that attack's hit roll. Or Drain, which is a malediction, and you select one enemy unit within 18 inches of the Psyker. Until the start of your next psychic phase, each time a model in that unit makes a melee attack, subtract 1 from that attack's hit roll. Number 4, Protect or Jinx. Has a warp charge value of 7. If manifested, select one of the following effects. Protect, which is a blessing. One friendly Craft World Aeldari core unit within 18 inches until the start of the next psychic phase. Improve the save characteristic of models in that unit by 1 to a maximum of 2+. Very nice. Jinx is a malediction. Select one enemy unit within 18 inches of the Psyker. Until the start of the next psychic phase, worsen the save characteristic of models in that unit by 1 to a maximum of 6+. Number 5, Quicken Restrain. Has a warp charge value of 6, and if manifested, select one of the following. Quicken, which is a blessing. Select one friendly Aeldari core or Aeldari character unit within 18 inches of the Psyker. The unit can immediately make a normal move, advance or fall back as if it were the movement phase. If it does so, that unit is not eligible to shoot or declare charge in the turn. Or Restrain, which is a malediction. Select one enemy unit within 18 inches of the Psyker. Till the start of your next psychic phase, halve the move characteristic of models in that unit, and that unit cannot perform actions. If the unit is currently performing an action, it immediately fails. And then the final one, 6, Empower, Renovate. Has a warp charge value of 7. If manifested, select one of the following effects. Empower, which is a blessing. Select one friendly Aeldari core unit within 18 inches of the Psyker until the start of your next psychic phase. Each time a model in that unit makes a melee attack, add 1 to that attack's wound roll. Innovate, it's a malediction. Select one enemy unit within 18 inches of the Psyker until the start of the next psychic phase. Each time a model in that unit makes a melee attack, subtract 1 from that attack's wound roll. So quite a lot of psychic powers there for Runes of Battle to keep an eye out for these warlocks. So if you see that someone's got a warlock, just be prepared that they're going to buff their units or debuff yours. That's the whole point of them. The whole point of them is not to whirl around with their witchblades and singing spears causing damage to your units. It's primarily to buff and debuff. Hope that helps. What do you guys think of these Aeldari Warlocks? I've still got quite a few metal warlocks in my collection, and it's a pleasure to add these two to the force too. Please do put your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below as always. It'd be great to hear from you. Thank you ever so much for joining me today. Thank you for watching. The Avatar protects.